All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the External Secrets Operator community meeting. Today's November the 22nd, I believe. Welcome everyone. Oh, by the way, there's a code of conduct. TLDR, be kind, don't be jerks. And that's about it, I guess. Let me quickly share the agenda that we have. So we have a document. There's a chat. So we have a document in HackMD. I just shared the link in the chat where we have the agenda for the meeting. Feel free. You should be able to edit that file if you're logged in, I believe.
I cannot.
You cannot? Are you logged in?
Nope. Yeah.
Okay. Oh no. I can see there are guests. Gustavo, do you have an idea how to change the settings on the HackMD so that I think that everyone should be able to edit that file, I believe. Maybe.
As long as you log into HackMD, you should be able to edit the file.
Yeah, I was in view mode.
Ah, okay, I see.
Sorry.
No worries.
My bad.
Okay, cool. So if you have like anything on the top of your head, any PR that needs review, any topic that you want to discuss, any bug that you want to raise some attention to, just please edit there, and then we can just go through it.
Let me just add it to the right day, right? Because today is the 22nd.
Oh yeah, sure. Makes sense. Thanks. All right. Yes, I was super in a hurry preparing all that stuff.
Is this agenda from the last meeting or from today's?
From today's. I just added like 2 or 3 things
So let me do it differently then. Just point it as November 22nd, and then we run from this.
Yeah, perfect. Nice.
There you go.
So yeah, the plan is to, before we run through the agenda, maybe everyone who wants to introduce themselves have a chance to do so. There are a couple of new faces, so whoever wants to, feel free to speak up.
Yep, hello. So my name is Gergely Brodka, and I'm a software engineer here in Hungary, Budapest. I work for Weaveworks, the company that made Flux. And I picked up, we picked up at Weaveworks External Secrets, and then I actually found it quite nice to work with, and I was contributing a lot to Kappa and Copy, but I got really tired of them, and I was looking for a different thing to play around with, and that's External Secrets. I really like it, and I like the community as well. So here I am.
And welcome aboard. Thanks for joining, and
thanks
for the work, and looking forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Let me introduce myself, guys. My name is Roger. I'm from Brazil. I'm kind of a novice here, so this year was my first KubeCon at Amsterdam, and I'm trying to contribute with ESO, so doing some release at this moment. I'm learning how to code in Go, and I think that in a few months I can contribute fixing some issues or something like this. My English is not very good, but I understand better than I speak, so it will be kind of a school here with you guys. So thank you for the patience, and thank you for joining me.
You're doing great. So yeah, thank you for joining the team, and welcome on board.
Hi everyone. My name is Tal. I'm a platform engineer at AppsFlyer. located in Israel. We found this open source project, the External Secrets, very interesting, and we are working to integrate it inside our company. We had some struggles because we use some legacy system of HashiCorp Vault that uses the KVV1 backend, and we are trying to do some influence on the project for adding the support that hopefully it will be accepted by the maintainers. And let's see, that's why I also joined, just to hear how things are going on, and if anything is will be required from our end as well. And very looking forward to it.
Cool, welcome. Thanks for joining. That was your PR regarding the HashiCorp V1 support, right? I saw that on the side. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, nice.
So just to also introduce myself for people that are novice here, I'm Gustavo, one of the maintainers of ESO. So basically, it's helping out whenever I can. Unfortunately, sometimes not as much as I can, as I want, but as much as I can due to many different reasons.
Thanks. I just realized I'm a really bad host. I guess I should have introduced myself. Well, yeah, I'm Moritz. I'm based in Hamburg, Germany. I'm also one of the maintainers. I would like to do more for the project, but I'm really struggling to find the time. But you know, it changes a lot every month, every week. So yeah, I guess like that's true for everyone. Trying our best to do this, to run the project in our free time. So yeah, let's jump straight in. Seb is on the bus. Do you want to introduce yourself? Or
I can do it really quick. Can you guys hear me? So. Okay, I'm Seb. I'm from Canada, as you probably noticed, and I'm living in Canada, and I'm also a maintainer of External Secret Operator. I consider myself the lazy maintainer of External Secret Operator. But it's so good to hear that Moritz and Gustavo are also struggling with time, dedication. But they do a lot more of that they give themselves credit for. That's it for me.
nice, thanks. All right, shall we jump to the agenda? So the first thing on the agenda is KubeCon update with a question mark.
Yes. So me and Lucas were able to go to KubeCon. We had a KubeCon ESO booth under the CNCF Project Pavilion. A lot of people went there basically just to say thank you. Two common topics appeared, which are already echoing throughout the community over and over again, which is multiple Kubernetes secret from one external secret. And the other one is supporting the external secret manifest, creating different targets than the Kubernetes secret. Not the external secret manifest, but the project. This second point was the one that caught most my attention, because the discussions that we were having were onto using push secret. So from a given Kubernetes secret to be able to create a cross-plane resource that references that secret and creates a given infrastructure. Which when talking sounds super cool. It was like, that actually is very clever. So of course it means a lot of work, but from features, from hearing from the community, these are the two things that echoed out the most. Other than that, it was pretty cool. Kind of everyone is using us. We got some time to talk with more people that are influential on that topic. And we did got a chance to very briefly talk to CSI Secret Store people on the linking, binding the two projects together. It's still not a closed door. Just like we didn't have time, they didn't really have the time to push forward on this. So, and Anish is going to reach out to us whenever they have more free time. And so are we going to do the same. for them. Just FYI for the newcomers, the whole point of the CSI Secret Store, this is probably the biggest competitor of external secrets. And the way that they do secret syncing is via volume mounts, but they have use cases, growing use cases to just synchronize as a Kubernetes secret, just like external secrets do. And what we're trying to do is merge the communities so that if people are looking for secret syncing native solution, it's external secrets. If they're looking for volume mount syncing, that's CSI. That's it for KubeCon updates. Just things that we should be in mind, probably, even though for some of them I personally don't like, we might end up developing them anyways.
Go ahead.
Go on, go on.
You first, Roger. I think you raised your hand first. Oh, you didn't? Oh, sorry. Okay. So I just wanted to ask how likely do you think this merge would occur or happen, or what would that entail to the projects? Like, would there be any connect, or would there be a single repo, or would there be a merge of functionality, or how does that work?
From what we discussed, there is a community meeting, 2 community meetings that were discussed, that one on ESO, the other on CSI. The idea is not to merge code or repos, is really to provide support to read from the secret store provider class manifest. Oh, secret store, no, the secret provider class, as if it was of a kind of a secret store, so that ESO would be compatible to create external secrets from that secret provider class, talking with the CSI drivers, etc., etc. So it is a lot of work, but the integration would be as of another provider mechanism. That would be what we were looking at.
So the change would be mostly on our side, if I understand that correctly.
Yes, and it also includes runtime changes, because we will need to add support to actually mounting the drivers, as the drivers are communicating via IPC. I'm not sure if IPC, but it's like not a network communication, it's local to the Unix socket.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I think that, so essentially, like, ESO then would be a provider for Secret Store CSI. So it's kind of, so that would mean that like all the providers that we support, which is, I don't know, like 15-ish providers or so, and then can be leveraged through Secret Store CSI without the need of creating a dedicated implementation for like some providers, say Senazagura secret management API or so. There's like some very specific providers, and the idea would be that we're able, that Secret Store
The discussion is very greenfield, Gurgly, just for you to be aware. It's like very greenfield. We have no hammer on how is this even going to work from the data flows. What we know is that the step that we stopped was thinking if it even made sense to actually try to join the projects or not. There was an action on CSI community to figure out if the community wants that, and an action on ESO community to figure out if the community wants that. From our side, we kind of know that the community doesn't care. From our community, like potato. And we know that CSI community kind of wants it. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, basically not even data flows are done, but we know it's possible. Like at least 3 data flows are possible to be executed.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like they have the smaller community, if I know that right.
It depends. If you measure on money, they have the biggest.
Okay, fair. Okay.
One laughing and one crying face.
Yes, I am laughing not to cry moment, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much it around KubeCon. General, it was good to be there. I think for the next ones, the new people that are more involved to the project should be the ones applying to go. For me, for instance, for me, my case, I went there fully sponsored by CNCF as a maintainer going to a project booth. So I strongly encourage other people joining to do so as well. It's like literally the most tangible outcome from maintaining an open source project.
Nice.
And even on top of that, we have this open collective thing where people donate money to, and in case there's a conference and probably not every maintainer is going to be accepted by the CNCF and their sponsorship, we can even still take that money and fly people in and support them to joining these kinds of conferences, because I think is like that one conference in the year where people are able to connect and see each other in real life, because we're so distributed, and this is like the chance, and we can this is like probably the best value for the money that we get. Yeah, that's just aside. Yeah, like sort of related to KubeCon, I attended a conference last week in Mannheim, Germany. It was a smallish conference, but like all the cloud native sort of people that were there. Anyways, and I noticed that there were like a lot of talks in terms like related to secrets management, and people came up with like a lot of different approaches, all totally valid. And we were featured in a talk given by RTL, and like all the other projects were also mentioned. There was Secret Sources iDriver, but also SOPs, which also people use to store their secrets in an encrypted form in a Git repository, which is also like an approach that you can do. Anyways, I talked to a couple of people, and I found like two big companies in Germany who are adopters, who are using external secrets. One is RTL, that's the biggest private, what's it called, television company, I guess. They use it, and they have a team of like 300, 400 engineers with over like 40 teams, and they run it there to pull secrets out of Vault and push them into I think they manage like around 100 clusters or so. It's a fairly big thing that we do there. And the other company is 1&1 or 1&1. They're just a web hosting / telco / email provider and whatnot. It's all like a pretty big company, and also they use it. And I try to organize it so we're going to add them to our adopters file in a repository, so we have like more names to our project.
Yeah, on that, I also heard a lot of big names that are using ESO on KubeCon, but I cannot disclose it. Not on a recorded call. But it's like, wow.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's move on to the next thing. I added the agenda item to discuss the provider versioning proposal that we have issues up with. I linked them both in the agenda. Now, why would I want to discuss this? So on the one hand side, we like had the rough goal, a rough idea that by the end of the year we want to like be GA or GA ready. Now the end of this year is near, and we're probably not going to make it, which is totally fine. That's not a problem. I was just thinking about like the current resources that we have available, and I'm not sure if we have the capacity to do such a major change. So for those who aren't familiar with that, so at the moment we have this secret store custom resource, which contains like a lot of different providers that includes like AWS, HashiCorp Vault, you name it. These 15 providers, they're all just dumped into the single custom resource, and it's not so easy to maintain, and I think there's like a lot of room for improvement to just break it down and have maybe one custom resource per provider that would improve the situation in terms of maintainability, and also like terms of like developer experience, that would also be better. Then you don't have to like go through this deep tree and to figure out like what field does what. And when we do this major change, we also have the ability to refactor and rename things, which is also a good thing to just clean up a couple of mistakes that we've made. That's like a good opportunity that we can leverage. So I have a feeling, because we don't have like a lot of capacity at the moment, so maybe it's maybe not worth it to do this major change and instead leave it as it is. Then we don't have to, because the problems that I see basically is when we do that big of a change, our people, like our users, they will complain. They will ask for a lot of support, how to like map fields from the old version to the new version. We probably need to provide some tooling, some sort of migration mechanism. And we saw that in the when we had the old CRD version from the Kubernetes external secrets project, the one initially created by GoDaddy, written in Node.js. And then when we did the rewrite, we also had to face like the same issues. We provided some tooling, and then people asked issues about it. They found bugs and whatnot, and asked for a lot of support, and still do nowadays. So that means like when we want to implement the feature, it costs a lot of time to do it and to do it right. And then also long term, we have to provide a lot of support for this major change. And I just want to like ask the question. We don't have to make a conclusion today. Ask the question like, are we going to like do we really want to do this, or maybe we just want to follow the Linux philosophy, just don't break user space, don't break users, don't break the syscall interface to user space, and instead maintain what you have with all the quirks and the not so pretty parts. Yeah.
I would say that. Go on, Seb. Go on.
No. Go ahead.
I would still say that this feature is very much one that I would like, just because the whole point of it is to make maintaining lives easier, right? If we have any provider that has a breaking change that we need to interact with, right now we have no good mechanism aside from breaking the whole secret store, because that's the single manifest. So for me, the whole driver of that feature was really to actually hold ourselves to the V1 version of the secret store that we are going to have more than anything else. So the driver is and it's like I've been trying to, the people at Container Solutions that were allocated to do that, they couldn't. I've been trying to create that. I think I'm on the fourth run to do the code changes in order to make it compatible. It is a little bit, and every time I just go back to the drawing board, git checkout -- everything and restart, because it's a little bit tricky. Having said all that, I do think if we just decide to go GA, I do think we can push the secret store to GA, as long as we commit ourselves to, regardless, create the separate provider structure and eventually move the external secrets to support the provider structure. Because then this could be our new interface going forward, and eventually, in a very, very, very distant future, say that that secret store will only have these set of features maintained and no new features will be added. Everything else will be added to each specific provider, which is like a compromise solution, I guess.
You can answer my question, Gustavo. My question was if we wanted to do this because of good practices, or we have people saying, "Oh, no, I will not use it because I just want to use the Vault provider and I don't want to have anything to do with Azure or AWS or something like that."
That's even a bonus. But it's not, it's probably the only feature that the user is going to get is the ability to not install AWS provider when they're only using HashiCorp. Even if the bloated code is all there, the user will never be able to interact with the AWS, just HashiCorp Vault. That's the biggest feature that we have for users. But it's really internal job, I'd say. The driver is I want to be able to clean up just a little bit of work instead of everything every time.
Yeah, makes sense.
So how about so do you have a design for this? Because I thought, what if we would have the providers as separate Go modules, and you would actually import them, and they would implement a certain interface like a provider, and they could be registered in main or something like that. And then once anyone pulls down ESO to be used somehow, they can actually choose like which module to pull down with it. That would significantly lower the dependency part of it.
That's another feature which Moritz did a lot of investigation, and we decided to not touch that monster for now. Basically because external secrets is security driven, right? And injecting dynamic code is typically not something that people that work on the security space like, for the many different reasons. So our intention was we did evaluate HashiCorp's Go plugin extension, but because the whole landscape right now, I don't think we can use HashiCorp libraries anymore within any CNCF project. And we also evaluated the Go plugin native extension, which we saw it was not fit for purpose. And then we went to WASM, which we've seen that it's not really supporting anything that we need to do because we need to have network sockets available. So on that moment, we said, okay, let's not think about versioning the code right now. Let's just for now version the API level. So at least we can feature gate whatever we have. And that's the issue that we are discussing.
So when you say dynamic code, what specifically do you mean by that? Like the providers wouldn't be, they would be the same, they would be located at the same level. They just each would have literally a GOMOD file with a specific project name, which then you could include as a dependency as a whole, and then have the interface itself.
Different static builds with the different providers, right?
Technically, yes, but but you could. So the main project could still provide the whole thing as a whole, but then it could be chosen, and then if somebody, for example, so what I'm saying is that external secret would stay the same, but if someone does really want to bother, then they could
opt out of that feature by building. Yeah. That's actually, if I recall correctly, the end goal of all of our threads around dynamically loading was, even if we want, let's just provide a static build version that is optional to users. But anyways, we decided that what would add the most value would be the provider thing, the API versioning thing, and the static builds. That's pretty much a summary, right, Moritz?
That was a very long summary. it was quite a journey that we went through. I think like a lot of approaches they just didn't work for different reasons that Gustavo pointed out. There's still somewhere a branch in some bird in some issue mentioned where I basically created. So the idea was to have separate processes for different providers and that they interface through something. I think I ended up with an approach that they run on a dedicated container, I believe. No, on a dedicated pod, so they need to communicate over the network. That is necessary because you may want to apply different network policies to a particular provider, so they need to be isolated on a pod level, so you get a distinct IP address. So this is like the thing that we really wanted to push for, because that provides like the highest isolation. Like you have different processes, different network policies that apply, but also the complexity to set that up with the current code base that we are at the moment is like pretty high. You have to like standardize a lot of the provider, like a directory structure, need to implement dedicated modules on the provider level, so you're able to load them in dynamically, and then you have just like a a very tiny shell that just runs a TLS socket, where it just accepts and then just some gRPC or what have you. So that's the thing that we kind of shooted for, but then we thought, okay, like the complexity is just way too high, and we're not able to, because the features are so big, and making that production ready and stable, you need to provide a migration path to users, and we just do not have the capacity to get that out.
But I'm still not talking about separate processes, though. So what I'm saying would be a single process. Basically, what you would have is
feature flags on the build time, right?
No, hang on a second. So, so what I'm saying is that each of the providers would be a separate module, yes, but they wouldn't be processes. It just would be a separate module, in order to be able to separately actually version them, like module versions, like V2, V3, blah, blah, whatever. And then external secret, as it stands, could all import them in main, and then say, okay, I'm building up an inventory of providers, and this is the providers that I'm supporting, and that's it. Like external secrets wouldn't change in its core; it would be a single process. But if someone wants to not do that, they can build their own project, include external secrets, and then register their own providers and build their own binary and run it separately. They wouldn't necessarily use external secrets as is, but they could build their own with their chosen providers, and that would be a single binary, like a single container or whatever. They would have to build it, they would have to host it, yes, but they still would have that dynamic range or the dynamic reach that they could build up basically, and use different versions of different providers if they want. So I'm just saying that this would give them the ability to do so with not so much change from external secrets part, actually. Aside from what you said, Moritz, the need for a composite interface that describes a provider and its capabilities. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. That's a good call. That's probably like a pretty high value for not too much of an investment. And if companies have enough engineering time to make that happen, then it's fairly easy to basically fork the project and load their own provider into it. Sure.
Yeah. And that separation could then help you further in later on creating the separate API as well, and then providing further customization and so on and so forth. So I would say that's a quick win on versioning. Not to mention that internally, if you do need to switch versions, you can easily do that by requiring a different model version of a different provider.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just a thought.
The only problem that we would have with that is that the providers right now are the ones that are actually handling the secret stores. So even if we do version on the provider level, if we don't change the secret store versioning that is associated with it, it's not going to change much, right? Because it's bound to the same interface.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit of the hustle that we have right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I guess we don't have to come to a conclusion or so, but I guess like the gist is that people just still want to do it, which is totally fine. And
we could set a deadline maybe. So if we can get something working by X, then we continue on it. If we don't get it working by X date, then we already start planning for GA without that feature, and we drop the efforts there.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Sure, I could do that.
Now, X equals 2. what's the effort to go GA if we didn't have that feature in? It's prepping the conversioning, dropping V1 Alpha 1, creating V1 manifests. That's pretty much it in terms of code level, right? Because we don't have any breaking change.
Yeah, there's some minor cleanups are there, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not too much.
So that will take 2 weeks from our times that are not really that much available. It will normally take a few days, but probably 2 weeks now. So what I am suggesting here is that if we get something tangible by December 13th, we don't have community meeting, right? If we have something tangible by the next community meeting on provider versioning, we go with it. If we don't have anything tangible by next community meeting, we just start GA.
That sounds like a plan. Yeah, sure, that sounds good. In my mind, I had maybe just like a longer time frame in mind, maybe just somewhat next year to.
I'm trying to get us to GA by the end of the year.
Yeah,
that's the goal. You started with that.
Yeah, totally. I just don't want to rush it, you know.
Yeah, the thing is that I know what I want to do in terms of code, how I want to change the interfaces. If I can't do it, I won't try it again. It's kind of like a last shot.
Yeah, so?
Go on, Seb.
Okay, so what you're saying, Gustavo, is that you're gonna try to pull that off, because if we commit to a date, but we don't commit to, sorry about the bus, if we don't commit to actual work, it's just delaying 2 weeks, right?
But I am committed to do that, so I am the one assigned.
All right, cool. Let me know if I can help you with something.
Will do.
Cool. Yeah, let me try to document that in the actions below. Okay, the next topic was regarding the push secret generator proposal. I put a link down in the agenda. So the gist of it is, at the moment, if you want to use a generator in combination with a push secret, so you would then just generate, say, a password, and you just want to push it into, say, HashiCorp Vault, you would have to create an external secret with a generator which produces a secret resource, and then you create a push secret resource that reads from that secret resource and pushes it into the provider, which is mind-boggling. The idea of that proposal is just to short circuit that you're able to use the generator directly within a push secret by just putting in a reference to it, and then you can just use that. That's the idea. There have been a couple of comments in there, and I think it was Gustavo who suggested to just discuss it this community meeting, and if there are no objections, that we should be able to merge that in and create a tracking issue for the implementation of it.
So you have my vote already.
If someone wants more time, that's also fine. If you want to take a look at it and take some time, that's also fine. So you don't need to rush anything here. Nothing.
Sorry, I'm not seeing what's the one-liner of the voting.
The one-liner of what? Of the feature.
What we're voting. Yeah, the feature of what we're voting.
So today you can create a push secret targeting a native Kubernetes secret to be pushed to HashiCorp Vault.
Yeah, no, I got that. But are we voting on doing it or not, or through different?
Yeah. Waiting on approvals to start doing it. Yes, it's basically deciding that we are going to have that feature.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's a nice feature. You have my vote.
Thanks, cool. Well, I guess if there are no objections, then we're just gonna check that. Cool, thanks. I'm just gonna merge it in and create a checking issue for that. Cool, thanks. Yep, and there's one last item. The latest commit from me has a failed license error. That's probably, yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
No, it's not.
Don't get me started with Fossa. If I could, I wouldn't be using Fossa.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's on record.
I vote. I don't vote against that. I think we should maybe consider dropping Fossa altogether. So the problem with Fossa is, to provide you a little bit more context. So we had to adopt it sort of when we joined the CNCF as a sandbox project, just to vet all the licenses that are used in the project and so on. The problem with Fossa is that whenever you update dependencies, Fossa will just drop all the ignores. So you can just basically like ignore or acknowledge some false positives in the license scanning. And I just added all the ignores for particular licenses because they were just false positives. Whenever you update a dependency, you have to redo everything from scratch. And this is like a pain in the ass. So
And the amount of false positives is also very big. So for instance, methods called getIP are understood as intellectual property, which means we are violating license.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the level. That's
Yeah.
the level.
Oh god. But I didn't change any dependencies or
It's a little bit random. It's a little bit random.
Okay.
They just say no, that ignore is no longer valid.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's super annoying. Maybe you should consider replacing it with I don't know, maybe Snyk or something if they provide a feature.
We could probably try to talk to CNCF community. There's like a maintainers community on CNCF just to see if anyone else using Fossa has this problem. How do they fix it? Because it is still a tool that we are supposed to use, right? Or if everyone else just dropped it. Maybe they did just drop it. Like,
yeah, I think the CNCF provides licenses for Snyk, if I recall correctly. It's somewhere buried in the documentation there. So maybe you can just leverage that for everything like security and license related. That could be also a great improvement to just drop that nonsense. Yep. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly document that. So I'll please create an issue for it. Okay. All right. I think that's it in terms of agenda. Is there anything else that you would like to discuss?
Yeah, just to comment on PR 2879, which is the one that Tal added. It looks generally good to me. I just want to run some manual tests, play a little bit with it, and try some edge cases like what happens if someone actually has a custom metadata as part of their secret that they want to push. Things like some edge cases, just to see how it goes. I will likely have time to do that tomorrow afternoon my time. So back on the PR on Friday. But yeah, just looking at edge cases now. But the whole idea, I kind of like it. It supports Vault v1 without actually breaking the ownership contract that we wanted Push Secret to have. So it looks good.
Thank you.
Nice. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss? All right, then let me say thank you for joining and see you next time. Let me stop the recording.